everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I am Richard Carlton here from FMTrain.tv, where every day at 1 o'clock Pacific time we are bringing you great FileMaker training. Today is an awesome day because here is Joe Martin over this way.
Hey, Richard.
How are you, Joe?
Good. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Let me do a couple quick announcements and then we'll dive into your awesome stuff. So FMTrain.tv, every day we bring great topics on various wide variety of things. The FileMaker platform has been around for like 33 years plus. There's a lot to learn, a lot of topics, a lot of areas. In fact, it's rarely that you pretty much almost never meet anyone who can do it all. In fact, I don't know anyone who can do it all. There's just not possible. But there are lots of people who dig in deep. They learn a lot of it, or majority of it, and what we try to do is meet these people and then have them come back and present some of the material. It's really, really awesome. So today is a 360Works update. So there are about three external third-party product vendors that I really, really like. And the reason I like them is because they don't cause me any stress. And if we find a bug in their stuff, they fix it. And so it's not that they have a bug, it's the fact that they fix it rapidly. It's important to them that they have good customer service, and I appreciate that. So 360Works is one. Jesse Barnum and Sam Barnum are the brothers that own 360Works, and it's run out of Georgia. And so Joe is one of their ace engineer type architect guys that's there. He'll be here today with us. Jesse hates talking in front of the public so much, so he's happy to dump it off on other people. Tomorrow, Kyle Williams is doing some sort of unsavory, unnatural acts with FileMaker. So, there might be, if there's any children present, you'll be asked them to leave the room because, it has to be safe for everyone, which is great. And then Monday and Tuesday. So this is kind of important. Nick Hunter will be coming back with FM Gallery. So what is FM Gallery? FM Gallery is kind of an interesting product. And we've been updating the website a little bit on this. I'm going to change the title just a smidge. Basically, this should say FM Gallery right here. But basically, it was a single product. It was a paid product. And what we've done is we forked it. So it's a free version, which is now available right here at any time, just like our free CRM. So we have Starting Point. We have FM Gallery. We have a number of free things that we give away. And then there will be a pro version that's coming. The people who've already bought the product previously, who paid money for it, will get the pro version for free. But if you want the unlocked light one, it's got a lot of really amazing stuff in it. You can do that, and the videos that Nick is shooting will be incorporated down here. So if you look at the broadcast schedule, we can see that day 5 and 6 of the broadcast schedule will be coming up Monday and Tuesday next week. Wednesday, Calvin will be, I'll be torturing Calvin on deleting records in the FileMaker platform, and maybe why you shouldn't delete them, and also then what you do beyond that. And then Kyle Williams, we're going to bring him back for 2 days of JSON. And the reason is that it was suggested we do JSON kind of beginner introductory stuff. Last time we did this, I think Calvin did this. So it's better that we have different people do it each time so you can hear it from a different person's perspective. So that will be either I'll be around or Margaret will be around, someone like that will be taking questions. So if you don't know what JSON is, you're uncomfortable with JSON, you have nightmares about JSON kills you at night, it's like this axe murderer person with a knife, then and Kyle will explain to you why you should not be afraid of JSON, and if it is dangerous, how to fend it off with your bare hands. We call open-handed defense. I think is what they call that. Open-handed. You didn't bring a knife. You didn't bring a gun. You didn't bring a sword to your fight. So all you have is open hands to protect yourself against evil JSON. So that'll be very exciting as well. As a reminder, if you want to support the broadcast, last announcement, you can go to our FMTrain.tv website. Once again, FMTrain.tv. You have the live button right here, shows the upcoming schedule, which is great. And of course, down here, you have the upcoming schedule, but you can press over here and hit bundles, and you can check out our live training courses that are available. If you're interested in our FileMaker training course, definitely check that out because it's pretty inexpensive. We have a 2-year bundle if you're interested in that. Otherwise, this one comes with FileMaker, this one, and a lot of other stuff. It's not just FileMaker, it's a complete bundle. And then this one over here is just video training only. So, but we have a 2-year deal if you're interested in that. So now that we've done that, now I'm going all the announcements are done. Low Code Heroes, and Megan's down here, very great. we want to go and see Joe. So Joe, are you? Joe's there. He's alive. Okay,
I'm here.
You're here. He quit beating his microphone. That's awesome. So Joe, so let's just kind of recap. So FileMaker 19.3 came out. I guess Claris is working on a 19.3.2 to fix some kind of urgent kind of bugs, although not all the bugs are their fault. Typical Microsoft, they kind of stirred the doo-doo pile a little bit themselves and made it what it is. So
Right.
with 19.3, did you update all your plugins or some of them, and what did you update and why did you update stuff?
Yeah, there was a critical kind of update for because with FileMaker 19.3, FileMaker Pro now can run natively on Apple Silicon. And there's a little bit of confusion there because 19.2 ran just fine on Apple Silicon as well, but it wasn't actually native. You actually have to rebuild your application for the M1 architecture for it to run natively, for it to run the most performant, to run the best. Otherwise, Apple is using this sort of translation software called Rosetta, where it can convert your Intel built application to run on the M1 chip. And that works fine as well. That's why all of your apps are still working right now on your Apple Silicon computer, your Intel built apps, but they're running slower than they could be if they were built for the M1 architecture specifically. So that's why we're seeing, there's been some benchmarks coming out for 19.3, and we're seeing a lot of faster processing when it comes to FileMaker, which is great, which is awesome. I mean, FileMaker is just only going to benefit from those performance increases, and I'm looking forward to it.
You've updated the plugins, 360Works updated the plugins, and so we have M1 native support. So you can't use old plugins with the new art.
No, you can.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, you can. So let me put it this way. You can't use. Oh, I'm sorry, Richard. You're right. You can't use old plugins with FileMaker 19.3 on an Apple Silicon computer. If you're using 19.3 on an Intel computer, you can still use old plugins just fine. And if you're using 19.2 on a Silicon computer, all plugins will work just fine. It's just for this sort of specific case where you have an Apple Silicon computer with an M1 chip and you're running FileMaker 19.3. That's when you need to get the latest plugins so that everything works.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So let me just ask the obvious question, right? So if I don't have an M1 computer, then why do I care about anything you've been working on? Or is it just like I should just like hang up on the broadcast now and call it a day?
I love how you set me up, Richard. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Because
I try to say this to people. Why should I care? Why are you relevant? Why should I care? Right? And so quality of life. All right.
Yeah.
So what is this? Tell me what this is and what is the deal?
The M1 compatibility for the plugins is sort of just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of quality of life improvements we've been working on, and we're finally able to push out now. So for first things I think that are easiest to talk about are startup and shutdown times have gotten faster. So that's just nice kind of usability performance. You'll see plugins when you're starting up FileMaker, it'll come up a little bit faster, it'll shut down a little bit faster. So that's always nice to have. But I think the real kind of big improvement that we've seen is we've totally refactored the server side multi-threaded when multiple users are executing server-side scripts at the same time. We're seeing drastic increases in performance there. And so exactly. So that what you're outlining, that those are the prior version times. So, and if you look down kind of at the bottom of the graph here, if you just have one user, if you had 6 users all execute server-side scripts at the same time, the older plugins are going to take about 2, 3, 4 times as long to execute to finish those plugin function calls. Reworking the multi-threading, making it work better, choreographing this dance between threads. We've made that a lot better on the server side. So you should see just stabler plugins, faster response times. And this is something, I mean, it's not super flashy. It's not like here's a brand new feature, but to me, this is really great. I'm seeing more and more people go to, they don't want the plugin installed on the client. They just want the plugin installed on the server. Let's use like FileMaker Go or WebDirect or the data API where we're running a website off that. And then when we want to do some processing, let's do a PSLS call, hand that off to the server so that it can crunch the numbers. And we only have to manage the plugin in one place. That's the real benefit, you know?
Yeah, manage it in one place. Hang on one second. So I'm going to call up, I'm going to find, if I can do this over here. Let me see if I can find Jacob Taylor. Jacob Taylor, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you had a question. So since you actually have really great comments and questions, I think you could do it in real time. So why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
Sure. So I love what I'm hearing about the great performance improvements here, Joe. What I'm wondering is if these performance improvements are in the latest shipping versions of all your plugins, or if this is like it's going to come out after stream today, or that kind of thing.
These are out. We deployed these to the store I think a week or two ago. I can't remember exactly, but these are ready to go. These are available on the store now.
That's like the 4.0 point whatever of the email plugin, for example.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And this wasn't a let's see. I think for products like email, FTP stuff that's not on maintenance, it's not a major version update. So this will be a free update for you. And for our other maintenance products like Scribe and CloudMail, I think if your maintenance is up to date, it'll be a free update for you as well.
Perfect.
So yes for Moki. Yes for Moki. Moki is asking about CloudMail. So yes. All right. Cool. So yeah. So they've re-engineered this for the M1 chip, which eventually on the Macs. Eventually, I don't know how many years it'll be before Apple drops support for Intel, which means Claris drops support for Intel. That's going to be a really ugly conversation when that happens. I can't wait to hear the squealing on that. But at some point, it'll be M1 or bust. Probably be 5 or 6 years anyway, I would hope on that. That being said, then really this new Apple Silicon version is the only version we care about. But until then, you support both, which is great. Then on Windows, you have full support on Windows 10 for the current builds and releases and everything. And
Yep, and these performance improvements, we tested this on Mac and Windows. We're seeing this in both places. I think to your point about dropping support for Intel, we'll just have to wait and see. I think that Rosetta will be around for a long time. I mean, people really hate it when their old apps, when they update their Mac OS and their old apps stop working.
Yep.
They did. We had to deal with a lot of that when Catalina came out. I'm sure everyone remembers.
Oh yeah.
And so I hope they don't, stick it to us like that anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, the M1 chips are just blazingly fast. So I wouldn't be surprised to see further and further adoption. It feels like it feels like we've not only in the past couple of years, we've not only increased our software release cadence. We're seeing software being published more and more often, but we're seeing the adoption cadence pick up as well. I think we used to see people take years to update their software, and now it's getting pretty rare that you see people on like older versions of FileMaker 16, 14. Those are getting increasingly rare.
Well, one of the things that's come up, and I guess we could talk about a little bit today, are you prepared to talk about your SafetyNet product at all?
I am a little prepared to talk about that.
Okay. Because the SafetyNet product is one, and then one of the reasons I think people are updating more is there's this inherent concern about security, right? Getting security patches in. the ransomware situation has really got out of hand. A major, and I'm not going to get into, talking about who did what and whatever happened. I can just tell you it wasn't me, but there's a company that does hosting, and they got ransomware, and a bunch of their FileMaker servers, if not all of them, got all ransomware because someone got in through whatever level of administrative access, and basically, the Russians encrypted their FileMaker servers, and unless someone wrote a check, they wouldn't get it back. And my general philosophy is I don't negotiate with terrorists, so you just hit the self-destruct button on the server and you roll to the last good backup, but you have to have a backup for that. And according to the story that I heard, that the backups were encrypted too. So that gets this issue of having backups that are not really, I don't want to say the F word on live TV. Well, I don't know what other word is universally useful or expresses my desire, but you want to make a backup that no one can mess with. And the SafetyNet product has that, right? You guys did that. In fact, we had a conversation about it. It was so funny. I said, so the idea is that you back it up, you run the SafetyNet product, and it makes a backup over into Amazon, and it's locked. It was locked at the time for 3 days. I remember talking to Jesse about this. I said, Jesse, 3 days not enough, because if the ransomware people, whatever, you could have a 3D gap where you wouldn't realize you had a problem, right? And then someone deletes it. And so he was like, oh, Richard doesn't know what he's talking about. Richard's a moron. He's stupid. He started having a little puppet. Hi, I'm Jesse. This is Richard. Right? And so he would have, it was dumb. And but Jesse doesn't say it that way. He goes, this is the total corporate. He goes, let me think about it, which basically means kiss my ass. It's not going to happen. And then a month goes by, 8 weeks goes by, and suddenly I get this email out of the blue, unsolicited, going, we added at least 5 days to it because of this whole ransomware thing that happened, this other company, and I'm like, so it only takes someone to start shooting hostages. You take the terrorists seriously, right? Right. So, yeah. So, welcome.
Jesse only speaks very highly of you, Richard. He holds you in the highest regard.
You have the highest disregard for Richard. Yes. So, Jacob Taylor, comments or questions about the SafetyNet or any of this other 360 stuff that we see here?
I do want to mention, SafetyNet is great for that. Like, SafetyNet's pretty cool. I think we're very used to using it how SafetyNet works is you point it at a folder and it monitors that folder for updates to the files. If any of those files have been modified, then it will back up that modified and only the modified file to Amazon. And so we the typical use case is you point it to your FileMaker backup folder. And so anytime a backup is run, that those get backed up to Amazon, and they become unaccessible, and you can download them back and restore them to FileMaker server at any time. But the other thing I think that we don't really think about is that SafetyNet can back up any folder you want.
I'm just gonna stop. Would you kindly show it on your screen? I'm trying to send you signals, and everyone else is laughing about what's happening here. But I'm trying. Would you kindly show SafetyNet, or should bring up the web page on SafetyNet so we can we have a visualization of what you're talking about. There we go. Oh, I feel better. Here it comes.
All right, here we go.
There we go. Now you can resume talking.
It was difficult to the messages you were trying to send me were a little. Was that Morse code?
I was something scribbles, my hand in the air.
So also SafetyNet is free to start out with, but that you'll probably want to take a look at we charge based on how much is backed up. So as your FileMaker backups are running, SafetyNet will monitor and pick up any new backups and back those up to Amazon. And so the more you back up, the more you save, right? If you were backing up about 1 terabyte a month, you'd be spending about $100 a month in backup costs.
Yeah, that's pretty inexpensive. And so now I think it has the 5-day you can't. I mean, not even God can delete it, right? Is that my understanding?
Hmm.
Right. So did you cover that the safety part of the safety net?
So you're saying like even if you like after a backup is run, even if you logged into your SafetyNet console and like told it to delete a backup, it wouldn't do it.
It doesn't do it.
That I'd have to double check on
Okay,
that.
I can assure you, go talk to your boss.
Yeah.
I'll wait for you if you want to
Yeah.
go talk to him. Go feel free. But we discussed this at great length. Jacob Taylor, you know about this feature with Amazon, right? What do they call this feature? If you're still there,
Yeah, it's called object lock, and that
Oh,
it's whatever. It's under the hood in SafetyNet, and it just means that when you all put those backups up into S3 wherever they are, that those things can. I mean, you can literally delete them. You can tell it to delete it, and it will go, yes, fantastic, I deleted it, and the file's not gone. It's not.
gotcha.
So
Yeah, object lock. I think that is an Amazon level feature where
correct.
you
Correct.
right, you actually right, you can't touch it.
Which means that the bad guys can't touch it if they get onto your server, right? That's the whole point, right? So it gives you 5 days to work out a hostage negotiation thing or something, right? Or whatever you're going to do, right? So questions from anyone on Discord as well, 360Works questions. I mean, it's kind of an overall update. I mean, Christian Schmidt from Monkey Bread has been doing the product, his updates as well. I'm trying to get a hold of Nick Orr because he's doing the base elements updates and things like that. So there's a couple vendors that make really great products. And this was funny because someone came to me the other day and they were like, like some of my junior staff, and they're like, oh yeah, the customer wants to have a copy of their solution on an iPad, right? Or iPhone. I can always tell someone they're not thinking too clearly when they ask for like a CRM on their iPhone. Because that just means that they thought it would be really cool, but they actually have never tried to use a CRM on their iPhone or, that kind of stuff. But it was interesting because the only way to really get easy synchronization, offline synchronization, is with the product from 360Works, Mirrorsync, right? So 360 has some really important products. The Mirrorsync product is one. I think the deploy one will be a good one in the future, but Mirrorsync is a offline backup. It really is great. When people say, hey, I want sync, I mean, the first thing you have to do is interrogate them as to what the hell they mean by that. Because most people, when they say sync, means like Dropbox. I have a copy and then it's everywhere else. So, yeah. David Angel says, SafetyNet, does SafetyNet work with Windows, Linux, and Mac servers, all the servers?
Windows and Mac are supported right now. Linux support is upcoming.
Okay. Is that your product or someone else working on that one?
Jesse is actually the main person who works on SafetyNet right now. I do some other I help I do work on the installers, and so I'll probably be I'm looking into installers that will work for Linux. So that mostly it's going to be Jesse with a little assist from me here and there.
Okay, so Labo is asking about external container support for, I'm assuming for SafetyNet, but I would assume that it backs up the entire thing, yes?
You point SafetyNet to a folder, and it monitors that folder for any new files. If your containers are getting backed up to that folder, as is the default, then they will be backed up as well. There are some, I'm going to say yes. And then there's this one situation that you can create if you actually use an additional container folder in FileMaker Server, you can actually disable that from getting backed up. And so that's like a smaller edge case where you wouldn't see SafetyNet pick up those files. But anyway, Jesse makes fun of me for like volunteering these like edge case problems that might come up.
No,
so
it's important. It's important because Jacob Taylor, who's on the call here, I was waiting for you to say something really derogatory about this edge case, because Jacob would have probably whipped out a knife and stuck you with it, right? Because he's a big fan of getting your container backups running on a separate schedule and a separate directory, because they don't really need the level of backups that your FileMaker file does normally, right?
They don't. They really don't. I mean, FileMaker is smart about only backing up a database if there has been changes to it, but it does not apply that at all to the container data. It backs up 100% of your external container data every time. So backing that up every time is a total waste.
Well, it's supposed to use the hard linking for the containers. Is it not using it? Used to? Did they quit using it? Within a schedule, if you do, it's supposed to do, if you have a set of, writes a complete backup, and then an hour later, if it runs it again, and none of the containers have changed, then it just hard links to that. It's supposed to. There's been issues with that on and off over the years, but that's how they save space. I guess I should.
Last I checked, I was seeing all the containers backed up every time, and that's what prompted me to sort of go down this road of how do I prevent my containers from getting backed up.
Jacob Taylor, are you there? You want to? I don't know if you got a burrito or you here still?
Nope, I am not here. I am dealing with a fire elsewhere.
Okay, fire. You can cancel and deal with the fire. So so Jacob is a 911. He's off doing other fire suppression stuff, so that's fine. So, that's so. David Ainge says, does SafetyNet allow you to? I think allow to choose to back up only the database without the external. Yeah, we did a live stream on this. If someone wants to dig up the live stream, we did a live stream with Jacob Taylor. He did a live stream on how to set up the extra container directories for the container backups and to run those separately. And so that's a live stream. It's probably 3 or 4 months old at this point, probably towards the beginning part of the year.
Yeah. Or split container setup. Yes.
It works with super container structures. So that's a really good one because super container is totally separate than FileMaker server. So that's a good question, right? I don't know the answer to that one. So,
would SafetyNet work with super container?
Yes.
That's the question?
That's the question.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would. It will. Yeah. And I'll kind of make, SafetyNet, you point it to a folder and then it monitors that folder for file changes inside of it. So you could point it to your super container based directory. You can point it to a FileMaker backup. You could point it to your desktop if you wanted that to be backed up.
Okay, backup. So it's really it's really not a FileMaker product then. Really, it's not like a lot of your stuff is a plugin for FileMaker, right? But this is decidedly not a plugin for FileMaker. It's an app you install, a Windows app or a Mac app or a service that runs in the background, and it monitors a directory and it backs up that directory. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So right, there's some nice use cases. Super container is a great one. And FileMaker backups are the quintessential use case, but It doesn't have to stop there.
Yeah, that's interesting. So because most people who do super container run that on a separate server. It's one of the benefits of that. You have a FileMaker server, a separate super container server. If you're still using that, RCC was huge fans of that, and then it got to a point where we didn't really need it. Yeah, that would be Jacob Taylor, right? Putting out the fire. But yeah, that's the idea. So you would actually take the SafetyNet and install it on the two different servers, separate servers, right? Virtual servers or not, whatever, it doesn't matter. EC2 or physical hardware in your office, you install it on both, right? So.
And there is another approach to protecting against ransomware that we use in our hosting. We use in our hosting services, where we take in AWS, you can actually copy an entire hard drive and back that up to a separate location. You basically have this snapshotted version of a hard drive that you keep everywhere else. And so for all of our hosting instances, we do that every night. And we keep 7 days worth of snapshots in a completely isolated location. We do that for our hosting customers. And you can also, I think we did a DevCon presentation about how to do this for yourself a couple of years back. And we released some AWS Lambda function code that would enable you to do that. So that's just another strategy. SafetyNet's probably way easier to get up and running.
Yeah, doing Lambda and stuff like that is very interesting, but that's a deep end of the pool. When we talk about pro code or low code, then above that is pro code, right? So no code, low code, pro code, right? Cool. So other questions about 360 products. We got kind of a blank check here with Joe, right? I mean, it's not really, I mean, basically we could cover everything in 10 minutes, but we've got, a little bit of time. So does anyone have other questions about this besides the food aspects of what we're discussing? And 360Works promos coming up. Okay. I guess.
Let's see. You know what? I think the next, we've got gosh, how far away is DevCon at this point?
A year, dude. A year. It's a solid year. And sometime in July, assuming it doesn't get canceled by Claris. I just signed up for Pause on Air this morning or yesterday. So Pause on Air is coming up. I guess I should mention that as a duly delegated, not a duly non-representative representative of Pause on Air. So you do a search for Pause on Air, and you get this conference thing, and you come over here, and they talk about the upcoming Pause on Air, which is in Clayton, Georgia, which is basically, if I say BFE, it's the middle of nowhere, right? People are going to have to fly to Atlanta, then drive 2 hours through Georgia to try to get there, right? So it's coming up. It's really pretty there. And it'll be at the end of, I think it's the end of October, right? Is that where it's at? Yeah, beginning of October. Oh, I thought it was beginning of October, 5 through 8. So it's coming up. And these are pictures of the event when they were doing it. I think, well, I don't know which one this is. This looks like the flop house at the Ace Hotel in Portland, Oregon. It might have been the Ace at different places, but it's kind of this like really kind of entry, kind of weird, kind of countercultural kind of hotel thing. But people would just kind of get in a room and someone's presenting on whatever topic it's going to be on. Like I sat one with Chris Moyer, and he was talking about SAML, which was this authentication, federation kind of authentication stuff. That was like 5 or 6 years ago, right? It was really educational. You end up going to some sessions that are really the deep end of the pool. So if you're a low-code person, I don't know this is necessarily the best place for you to go. If you're a FileMaker person who's learned all the low-code stuff and you're into the pro-code part of it, the Kyles of the world, the TKs of the world, obviously, everyone from 360 for the most part. Megan's probably getting there, maybe. Definitely Jake is there. Then you're going to go here, and they're going to be all sorts of topics, and I don't even know what other topics there might. Oh, they're going to send you, put you on the mailing list. I guess I could do that, put myself on the mailing list. But so I get their email. But yeah, it's interesting to see what they've got going. So it's at this camp, this retreat, kind of in the middle of FAQ. Where's it at? Location, the Kaplan Mitchell Retreat Center. Yeah, so I'm not sure if we're going to have a giant bonfire or anything like that. So you can come over here, and this is actually the location of where they're going to be. Kind of pretty, very neat. So, but it's like camp for different things. So it happens to be the camp that they just set up for FileMaker for the Pause on Air folks, right? So that's kind of cool. I've never been there before. Obviously, someone has been there before. So anyway, kind of neat. So if you like to hike and camp and do stuff like that, I don't know how much hiking and camping will be going on, but theoretically people will be having this big conversation about FileMaker there and all the little, weird little things that you can do with the FileMaker platform. Security, I know that Chris Moyer is trying to do a ransomware thing about FileMaker there on that. I think it was a topic he was trying to put together. That would be very cool. So there's a lot of neat stuff coming up on this. So this is the event, and then they're renting out the facility for 3 days for this thing, I guess, right? So 5, 6, 7, 8, but you check in on that one evening. So yeah, I can't tell if there's a schedule. It's 3 or 4 days, or what the schedule looks like. I'll have to kind of take a look at that.
Michelle Gravel asked a question. Yeah.
Was it? No, because they're different. They're different. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not about. It's the operating system supports the chips and stuff, right? Not FileMaker. Okay. FileMaker writes for the operating system. They write for the current Mac operating system. Back in the old days, the Mac didn't use Intel either, and Windows was on Intel. Windows will always be on Intel, just the way it is, right? and someday maybe in 20 years it's not, but who knows what you'd be using in 20 years. So yeah, so I don't see, everyone gets confused between the difference between operating system supporting a chip and then FileMaker supporting a chip, and it really doesn't work that way. A FileMaker supports an operating system. Right now, the Mac operating system is available on 2 different chipsets, and clearly Apple. Yeah, what's that?
It's actually interesting to me because FileMaker recently dropped support for 32-bit architecture in Windows, and which was great news to plugin developers because we used to have to build for both 32-bit and 64-bit architectures, and we're still doing that for kind of backwards compatibility. But they dropped support for 32-bit architectures, and then not like 2 years later, and now we have 2 architectures in Mac that we need to build for. We need to build for both Intel and M1. But yeah, to your point, I think I would say that it's kind of a funny situation with the plugins needing M1 support. The plugins only need M1 support because they are plugging into FileMaker that is built for that is running as the M1 architecture. So if we were writing our own standalone software, it could only have Intel support and it would still run fine on an M1 computer, because Apples are smart enough to basically look at an Intel program and translate it to the M1 instructions that they need. It's just we're in this special case of plugins where we're plugging into something that is running as M1 architecture, untranslated by Rosetta, that we specifically need to be built for running on M1 natively as well. I hope I'm making sense there. Basically, if we were a standalone application, it wouldn't matter. But because we're plugging into something that is running natively on M1, we need to take that into consideration now.
Jacob Taylor says that Ruben. Okay, yeah.
Talking about the move to the everything's going to move to the cloud, and I said we've got a couple customers already who are doing the whole desktop computer up in the cloud. They use Amazon Workspaces.
That was something that Claris at one point had looked at doing but they couldn't do it economically because Workspace is basically like remote desktop or
it's renting a computer a month. So they start for something reasonable that could run FileMaker like baseline. They start at $30 a month. So it's not cheap. But also, if you can just say, well, as long as your computer can run the whatever, it's like the Amazon desktop adapter software thing, and that thing will run on terrible network conditions. It runs fine. And so basically, as long as you can get that done, then you don't have to deal with IT because everything's inside the box.
Yep.
All
right, cool.
You're also your computer is also right next to your AWS hosted server at that point, so you get really great FileMaker performance.
You can pretend it's a LAN. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, the trick is with that is that $30 a month doesn't sound like much, but remember the FileMaker currently sells, if you buy a 5 or 10 or 20 pack, it's like just the software license is like $12, $13, $14 per user per month. If you buy Cloud 2, which has the hardware bundled with the software, it's about double that at the end of the day. If you get into a 15 or 20 pack, it's they got a kind of a lost leader for 5 to 10 pack, but what they call essentials. But if you get into that, Apple Claris has got their pricing up at around $20 a user per month, $24 a user per month. Well, if you have to add $30 on top of that, then you're at $50 per user per month, and it gets a little bit more ugly, right? So it just depends on your business model and what you're trying to do and how much revenue you have and what you can spend it on. So, yep. Cool, interesting. So, lots of neat stuff going on. I'll see if we can get someone who wants to come on and talk about pause on air. Some of you want to go, but if you're actually out in the eastern part of the United States, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas even. I talked to someone else who's in Texas who's going to that. Obviously, I'm going to probably try to bring Calvin Moseyman from Pennsylvania. He's one of my East Coast people. Bring him to the event too. That'll be good. But yeah, lots of neat stuff, and it'll like hurt your head in terms of what's going on. I'm not sure how. Once again, I have to look at it. It said like BYO, bring your own food and snacks and stuff. So I think it's maybe there's meals or not or whatever. You buy them separately, but I'm sure they have a cafeteria here or something like that. But if you it's not like going to Las Vegas where everyone goes to a show in the evening or something, right? This is the opposite of Las Vegas. Anti-Vegas, right? So interesting kind of location. So yeah, I can read through the FAQ here, and so we'll see if we can bring someone on. Assuming you folks are interested in this, but it's the cost per user for just to be there, not travel, but the ticket price is $550, because Claris charges for their event like $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 at least. So it's like more than double, right? So in terms of a value, cost benefit value, this is vastly superior in terms of being cost effective. So yeah. All right, cool. Well, Jacob Taylor's there a little bit. Joe Martin kind of got hijacked by the pause thing, but it's useful to talk about, I think.
I want to go now. I mean, I'm feeling it'd be cool to hang out with you in a forest setting. And right, I don't know what are we going to do at the end of the night instead of going out to dinner with everyone? Do you make s'mores around the campfire?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of stuff that's going on. I really do. And so it's and what I would do, what we will do is we will find people who want to talk about their stuff on a live stream, and we will go to them and talk to them and have them come back and present that. Or we can do one after hours or something like that if you saw something and you wanted to talk about something you saw. I don't mind doing it, but remember, it's kind of like DevCon. There'll be 5 or 6 little sessions or more going simultaneously, and you have to decide. You have to decide which one you want to go to, and I don't think they're recorded. I think once upon a time they thought about doing that, but a lot of people wanted to be able to go and talk freely without being recorded. If you have a topic you would like to see 360Works demo or talk about, right? Have them demo with one of their products, please let us know. We can have them come back and demo something specifically. But it's a great product. I use it. I love it. They've updated their stuff. The performance is better. So this is what you get with a company. You invest in their product. They buy the product. They keep making better, great products that are more awesome. And then they update them for, find inefficiencies, and they make the code better. Everyone can always take a solution they built and make it better, because whenever you build it, you learn something. Like, people are going to go to Pause on Air or wherever they're going to go, and they're going to go, oh my God, if I'd only know, I'll build it this other way, and it'll be so much better, right? That's a standard thing. It happens to absolutely everyone. So going back and doing all that is great. Mm-hmm. So
I think programmers have a tendency to look at some process and think that they can build it better. And then they actually get down to it and realize that they're in way over their head, and they should have probably followed convention to begin with.
That could be. I know that I've had people come to me and say, oh, I'm not going to buy, because they license for, like, say they need a Mirrorsync license right on the 360Works product. If I go back over here and I pop up the 360Works, so here's Mirrorsync, and like, oh, I'd want to buy it. So we tell them to buy it. So click on that for me. And so if we're going to buy this, and you're like, and then you're like, you look at the price, and it's like Mirrorsync, and then like, let's say I have 10 people, right? 10 offline people. How do I find 10 offline people? 10... This
is going to be kind of close to what you're looking at. If you wanted to sync one configuration with, let's say you just wanted to sync a single database for 10 users.
10 users.
You'd be looking at $700.
Okay, so then what someone does is they go, oh, that's too much money. I can. So then I had an engineer who doesn't work for me anymore. He was like, all right, well, I can build it way better and cheaper than $700. Well, the guy was at the time, hourly rates were like $130 or $140 an hour. And he ended up spending of his 200 or 300 hours, and it still never worked correctly quite right. And I'm like, I said, just spend the money here, because it's supported, it's running, it's tested. there's armies of people behind it, so it's, testing it, using it. It's not just like Joe in his garage who built one thing. This is not Joe in his garage. This is the super team, like Wonder Friends, Super Justice League of Joe. If they're all sitting around Joe, sitting around the different wearing uniforms, and they're all working together. That's what this is. That's what $700 buys you.
It's we track all of our time. Anytime we're working on something, we log that time to that product. And recently, we're over, I think, like 12,000 hours spent working and supporting Mirrorsync. So you're getting the benefit of all of that time spent fixing bugs, making the product more streamlined and user friendly. I mean, Mirrorsync is grown to be such a big product because we touch every aspect of the sync. I mean, it's not just the sync. It's, the sync is obviously really important, but it's also how do you deploy offline copies to
Correct.
your offline devices?
Yep.
We've got a solution for that.
12,000 hours. Holy shit. I gotta do some math here. Anyone know what 12,000 say? Say that it was internally hourly rate and you were going to pay someone, say, $70 an hour or something like that. Or whatever.
$70 an hour,
What's 70 times 12,000?
Right there, 840,000.
Yeah. So basically, this is product, when it's all said and done, it's probably about $1 million product just for this product.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unless you can build $1 million product yourself for less than $700, just shut up and buy the product, right? So, sorry.
And if you want to try it out, Mirrorsync to sync one database to one device is free.
Oh, there you go.
So you get to test it out with your kind of basic setup and configuration. Sync that one database, get that running before you even have to commit to spending any money.
Good idea. Good idea. In fact, we should probably have you guys come back and do basic sync. We did the advanced kind of replication sync, but we should talk about like a basic, like a CRM for 10 people offline, online, all that kind of stuff. We should do that. You should talk to Daddy about that. It'd probably be a 2-day thing, I would guess. But
let's do it. That'd be great, right? Because there's a lot of pieces there. I think setting up your configuration, getting your sync going, and then setting up this way to deploy offline copies to these offline devices. And let's say you make a development change, like you add a new layout or new script, Mirrorsync can automatically update those offline copies, which is a really neat feature.
Okay, so can we do it in 2 hours? Cover it in 2 hours, you think?
Cover it in two. It would be fast. I would say I think I'd need at least probably 4 to 5.
All right. Well, we'll have to then get that scheduled up. But then, some people might
just take. Yeah.
5 days of syncy stuff. 5 days of syncy, right? Are you capable of doing this? I mean, or do we have to call your boss to talk this out, right?
I gotta talk to my boss about this one.
Oh my God! Need the hotline.
Let me get back to you. Maybe I think this next month is honestly like really busy for me. But after that, can we talk about it again? I think this would be really cool to do.
Well, it has to be scheduled in advance anyway. So how many of those? It's kind of like the buzz thing. How many of you are interested in like a step-by-step how to do sync? Right? I know you have to spend the $700, but once you spend the $700, you still have to like turn it on. So if you're here, yes, no, Jake, Sheely, Jericho, are they all dead? I'm not sure where they went.
They died.
One buzz. I have a single buzz. I have 2 buzzes. I think Ken kind of buzzed. Stu buzzed. Hey, Stu. Jake, Sheely. I think that's a buzz. Mark, possibly. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, Camp Bear's on his boat, retired, watching us sweat it out. So, yeah, good. Good. Yeah, so I just had like 5 or 6 people buzz in who are paying attention. So, all right, yeah, I think it's good stuff. So today's kind of an open-ended, kind of loose conversation, but I wanted to get the word out about their product updates, and then really deploy and Mirrorsync and email plugin are the ones I just hammer on all the time. And once again, you can see the performance improvements here on the screen, especially if you have users that are using PSOS or SASE. I do a ton. This right here is Richard RCC. We live in here. I've got 5-10 people who could be using the email plugin at one time, real easy, right? So yeah, so it's I will benefit from this directly. So yeah, very, very good stuff. So yep. All right, well, that's it today. Joe, any parting comments for us? And then I'll send Margaret back to talk to you about getting something on the calendar about your Syncy thing.
Richard, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you at Pause on Air.
Yeah, well, I'll send Jesse an official note requesting you get out of jail and you can go to Pause on Air. Take off your, we have one of those like arrest, the little bands around your ankle, right? The ankle bracelet arrest thing, right? So let everyone know that you're going to be traveling out of town and not to call 911 because your ankle bracelet thing is setting off alert to the cops. So anyway, pretty funny stuff. All right. See you, everyone.
See you, Richard.
Just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap. Stands in, throws it left for Amendola. Reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10. Rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.